Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Donna Smith, and I'd like to welcome you to a musical celebration of 125 years of pharmacy at Ferris State University. This afternoon, under the direction of Dr. Scott Cohen and Dr. Dale Skornia, the West Central Concert Band, the Symphony Band, and the West Central Chamber Orchestra will take you on a musical journey. A journey that spans the history of pharmacy from antiquity to the present, including important moments at the FSU College of Pharmacy. Joining us as special guests are, first, Dr. Stephen Durst, Dean of the College of Pharmacy, Dr. Richard Holt, who is FSU Professor Emeritus and FSU College of Pharmacy, class of 1968, Mr. Jim Bach, who is FSU College of Pharmacy, class of 1966, and Rachel Kahulik, who is second-year pharmacy student and FSU College of Pharmacy, class of 2021. Now, you'll also hear a musical world premiere commissioned by FSU College of Pharmacy from FSU Professor Emeritus Harry Dempsey for this special concert. Now, to kick off this musical celebration, we present the combined musicians of the West Central Concert Band, the Symphony Band, and the West Central Chamber Orchestra, performing Scott Cohen's fanfare 125 that was originally written for the 125th anniversary for the founding of Ferris University, and that was in 2010. Now, it's being repurposed today to commemorate the same milestone for the College of Pharmacy. Listen for the chimes and the timpani as they ring out in the first, second, and fifth notes of the scale to symbolize the numbers 1, 2, 5 of our celebrated anniversary. And so now, will you please all welcome today's performers under the batons of Drs. Cohen and Skornia with fanfare 125. Will you join me in welcoming them all? Pharmacy has been with human beings in one form or another since the prehistoric times. The great empires of the ancient worlds of Egypt, China, Greece, Rome, and Persia all left us legacies of their knowledge of using nature to help alleviate human maladies. One of the most noteworthy individuals from the ancient world was Galen. Born in Asia Minor in 130 AD, his thoughts dominated medical philosophy for the next 1,500 years. An influential descendant of Galen's tradition was Avesana. He is known today as the Persian Galen. He lived around the year 1000 AD during the Islamic Golden Age, and he also possessed incredible knowledge of a pharmacy, a philosophy, astronomy, and poetry. It is believed that he wrote about 450 works, with some 40 of them pertaining to medicine and pharmacy, which are still merged and were merged together in those days. To musically honor these masters of the ancient world, the West Central Chamber Orchestra now performs Jerry Wolstenholme's Persian Passage, published in 2007. Wolstenholme's inspiration for this composition began in 1996 when he traveled to Israel, Egypt, and Jordan with the Brigham Young University Chamber Orchestra. While on tour, he experienced the unique musical sounds of these countries. And you'll hear the musical impact of these sounds, including the use of various percussion instruments, especially those crafted from metal. And now, here's the WCCO with Persian Passage. After completing pharmacy training in Bonn, Germany, Nicholas Johann von Beethoven moved with his older brother Ludwig to Vienna in 1775, and he worked as a pharmacist's assistant. Later, in 1808, during the Napoleonic Wars in Europe, he bought an apothecary shop in Linz, Austria. The very next year, in 1809, Napoleon took over Vienna and established a base camp in Linz. That's where he sent all of his wounded soldiers. Beethoven's apothecary shop was located at the right place, at the right time, and it supplied all of Napoleon's medical needs. Now, in case you're wondering, his older brother Ludwig is indeed the famed composer Ludwig van Beethoven. Beethoven's admiration of traditional dance and music was immense. At the age of 25, he composed a set of 12 German dances. So now, in honor of Beethoven's pharmacist brother, Nicholas, the FSU West Central Chamber Orchestra will play Ludwig van Beethoven's German Dance 2, a delightful waltz containing both light and rustic themes. Pharmacy at Ferris began in 1893, just 9 years after Woodbridge Ferris founded his institute. Now, a year earlier, in 1892, the renowned Czech composer Antonín Dvořák arrived in the United States to become the director of a brand new National Conservatory of Music in New York City. While there, the New York Philharmonic commissioned Dvořák to compose a symphony. He began envisioning the symphony while vacationing in a small Czech community of Spillville, Iowa. Now that symphony, which today is known as Symphony Number 9 from the New World, was premiered in 1893 in Carnegie Hall. The fourth finale movement begins with an agitated two-note theme, which today resembles John Williams' theme from the movie Jaws. A heroic march theme ensues, followed by a much calmer melody. The middle portion features a three-note theme that you will easily recognize as Three Blind Mice. Now, during our performance of this finale movement, you'll see a series of slides depicting the early history of the FSU College of Pharmacy. And so now we invite you to enjoy Finale from Dvorak's New World Symphony as performed by both bands and the orchestra. Continuing with the theme, Pharmacy in America, around the turn of the last century, drugstore soda fountains became an ever-present fixture on Main Street, USA, and they remained popular throughout most of the 20th century. Do you remember sipping on those refreshing drinks that cost a whopping nickel or a dime? Well, the American ragtime style reached its heyday during the same time as the popularity of the soda fountain drugstores. Piano ragtime, as it was primarily established by Scott Joplin, it featured a syncopated right-hand melody accompanied by a quick oompa in the left. In recent years, Jack Bulla fashioned a ragtime-inspired piece called Saxophonia, and from the title, you can surmise that saxophones are featured. And indeed they are. And now to perform Jack Bulla's ragtime nostalgic piece, Saxophonia, please join me in welcoming all of our saxophonists from both the WCCB and the Symphony Band. Evidence from ancient times exists that topical applications of moldy bread were used to combat bacterial infections. In the 16th century, John Parkinson first documented the use of mold to treat infection. However, it was not until 1928 when Scottish scientist Alexander Fleming accidentally discovered the penicillin mold that a new age in curing bacterial infections for medicine became a reality. A couple of years earlier, in 1926, American composer George Gershwin visited Paris for the first time. And he was so taken by the city that he was inspired to write An American in Paris, which was completed the same year that Fleming discovered penicillin. Gershwin's work depicts an American tourist strolling in the streets of the City of Lights, taking in all of the excitement. Now, maybe you'll envision a typical Parisian traffic jam on the Champs-Élysées as Gershwin incorporates taxi horns into his musical scoring. In the slower middle section that incorporates the American blues style, Gershwin suggests that the American tourist may be feeling a bit homesick, even a bit tipsy. All of Gershwin's musical elements come together for a triumphant conclusion of his musical trip to Paris. Here now is the WCCB and the Symphony Band performing Jim Kernow's arrangement of Gershwin's An American in Paris. Well, now that we've recognized our graduating seniors in their final concert as students with the FSU music program, let's welcome them to the status of band alumni with the playing of our alma mater, Ferris Fidelity, and played by all of our musicians and conducted by senior Andrew Hartung and junior Jack Spicer. Both Andrew and Jack are student conductors with the FSU acclaimed athletic pep band. Will you join me in welcoming the two conductors?
Thank you, Scott. This has been an incredible program, and certainly looking at its end, I have just been very excited about this. As we started planning this, I met with Drs. Cohen and Skornia, and they just gave me a tremendous list of options and pieces that could be considered. When we got to that, it seemed like there was just one thing missing, one element to be added. So to commemorate the college's 125th anniversary, I called our own extraordinary musician and composer, Mr. Harry Dempsey, and just asked him a very simple question. Would you prepare a piece, would you be interested in preparing a piece that would celebrate the anniversary of the college? There were a few conversations. Harry thought about it, but then really the next thing I knew, there was a CD with music accompanying it on my desk. It said the staff of Asclepius on it. I looked that up and of course realized that was a symbol for medicine dating back to ancient Greece. I listened to that first electronic draft, if you will, of that piece and thought it was an incredible closer for this concert. So without further ado, we close today's concert with the world premiere of The Staff of Asclepius. My sincerest appreciation to Harry Dempsey for this masterful composition. Please join us at the end of this piece in the lobby for light refreshments and to meet these great pharmacy representatives as well as Harry, who's with us today. And most importantly, thank you for attending today's celebration, the great music, and the incredible history of the College of Pharmacy. Thank you.